welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. We have one of my favorite people here today because there's no denying the temperatures are changing. Fall is around the corner, which means winter is going to be right there as before we know it. And Sophie Miles Kohler is here with us to tell us how our lawns, our landscaping, our gardens need to change as the temperatures change.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, we're going to talk about winterizing your garden and also how to get a jump start for spring so that your garden looks as great as possible. So we love our long winters here, but there's no denying there's going to be extreme temperature changes from about October till May.
Yep.
So big swings, like winter wind chill, sun scorch, all of these things that can affect your plants.
Early frost, late frost.
Exactly. So how do you prepare for these challenges? Well, first off, it might not feel intuitive, but it's a great time to plant. It's a great time to plant trees, shrubs, perennials. Bulbs too. But some of these bigger things before they go dormant under the snow is a great time to plant them, and then they'll just wake up in your garden. And then you said bulbs. It is a fantastic time to plant bulbs and the only time to plant spring bulbs. So right now in September is a great time to divide your irises or lilies and replant those bulbs, or give them to your neighbors.
As a gift?
As a gift.
Totally.
Or we brought some bulbs here today to talk about planting more in October, right before the ground freezes. So the first thing everyone says when they come to the nursery is, what are the deer and moose not going to eat?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I have to sing the same old tune. It's really going to be your daffodil or narcissus, your allium, and your grape hyacinth. And if you're bored by these, come on down to the nursery. We have so many different varieties and hybrid species. You might get a little bit more excited.
Aren't alliums actually onions, and that's why they don't get eaten?
That's
even by like other insects and stuff. So these are pretty much in the clear.
You're absolutely right, and those kind of herbaceous tastes and onions, and those are the things that keep deer and moose away. So yes, exactly.
What about garlic? I mean, we can even be planting edibles right now.
You can plant your garlic now for next year. You can, if you really have the itch to plant and enjoy something now, there's such a thing as a fall crocus. It looks like a lotus blossom. It's beautiful, and we're planting it right now in the ground and in pots at the nursery, and it's blooming right now.
That's cool.
And then for those of you that just must have your tulips, try to keep them away from the deer. They will snap up those blossoms the minute that they open. And crocuses, of course, are for your earliest bloomers in the spring. So plant those now. I brought a couple different tools. This is your bulb hand tool that you can use just to push right in and get to that depth in your hard soil.
So you just push that in and then drop the bulb in?
Yeah, you can do it that way. Or you can, yeah, that's the best way to do it.
How do you do it? I could tell that you were not like, oh, that's not my way.
So this is really the easy way to do it. If you don't like to hunch over too much when you're planting your bulbs, you just stick this guy right on the ground and use your foot, and you never have to bend over, and then you drop those bulbs in.
What shape is that shovel? So this is
just like
pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So it's round.
Yep, exactly. That's the right width.
How deep is this? Is this how deep you want your bulbs?
So at altitude, you want to plant your bulb a little less deep than you would if you're at sea level, because otherwise it'll never come up in the spring.
Okay.
So the rule of thumb is 2 times the width of the bulb.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
And then
definitely a tulip person.
You want to plant them in clusters. So dig your holes and plant them in clusters of about 5 to 10. That way it's going to look better than having your single stems pop up. And to make them really happy, you can give them a high phosphate fertilizer when you put them in the ground. We love bone meal, but if you have a feisty dog, they will smell this and dig them up. So you can go with a different high phosphate fertilizer.
So should we be fertilizing anything else in this time of year?
You can fertilize everything this time of year.
Really?
And the go-to, your trees, your lawn, the go-to that we recommend is Milorganite, which is an all-natural, non-petroleum-based fertilizer. Sprinkle this on, on your lawns, on your trees, on your flower beds, and that'll make them real happy.
Would that go on your sod pretty well? Do you just sprinkle it?
You can just sprinkle it in.
You don't have to do anything special.
And the good thing about Milorganite is that it has 2 things working for it. It'll fertilize, and the moles and voles don't like it.
Really?
Yes. So it'll help keep them away.
Even though it's all natural?
Even though it's all natural.
That's awesome.
Well, all natural. There's certain
All
things that are
natural.
distasteful.
Fertilizers.
Yes.
That's as good as it gets for a fertilizer.
So if it's springtime and you are waking up your lawn and seeing these mounds or rows of dead grass clumps, that means that you have voles.
Okay.
Besides the Milorganite, you can also put a border around your lawn.
Okay.
This is also a natural repellent that has castor oil in it, and that'll keep the moles and voles away.
Very cool.
Another great thing to plant right now in the fall is your wildflower seeds.
I was gonna say, I don't want to miss out on these.
And you'll get them earlier. You'll get the blossoms earlier if you plant them in the fall.
How long will they last though?
It depends. I recommend using a combination of annuals and perennials in your seed blends, because the annuals will bloom all season and the perennials will keep coming up year after year. And often the annuals will reseed too.
So you don't have to
and
do
come
anything?
back.
Most likely.
Yeah, be aggressive your first year and you can be pretty hands-off thereafter. One recommendation though is to plant or sow your seeds when the first snow is sticking, because it will help work your seeds into the ground and keep the birds away.
So when you plant wildflowers, are you doing any digging, or are you pretty much just sprinkling on the existing dirt?
Exactly, or even into that fresh layer of snow, sprinkle them in.
Really?
I, for good measure, always stomp on them with my feet, but you don't have to.
Just
makes me feel better.
Doing that.
Let's see. Another thing to think about is watering. So at this time of year, we turn off our sprinkler systems. Still continue to be mindful of how much water your trees and your shrubs are getting, especially those new trees that might not be established yet.
Okay.
So if we're having an October or November that's light on rain, you want to make sure you're visiting your trees with a hose or a sprinkler every 7 to 10 days and really dousing it for a couple minutes and getting in deep water.
Last thing I want to get to is pruning. Do we prune in the fall?
That's a great question. So a lot of us who are particularly from the East Coast want to prune and rake and do things like this in the fall. You know, you got to back off a little bit at this high altitude. What we have is winter kill. So if you want to prune in the fall and then after a harsh winter, there's some dieback from winter kill on those limbs, you're going to end up pruning more than you would have in the beginning.
Oh,
so
got it.
if you come over here, I can point out we've got a lilac. You never prune a lilac in the fall because they actually have their little buds that are going to blossom in the spring that grow in the fall. So you'd be cutting off your springtime blossoms. So the best time to prune a lilac is right after it blossoms, say midsummer.
Got it.
Your roses that you might be pruning on the East Coast in the fall, that is it's definitely susceptible to the winter kill. So you don't want to prune those until they grow and blossom in the spring as well. One thing that you can prune, however, are some of your shrubs. So your potentilla, your barberries, your spirea. Like this one's a little wily. You might want to tame it and give it a little bit of shape. You can go ahead and prune these. You're never going to cut back more than 1/3 of its total height, or else you'll kill it.
Let's do a little example. We are running out of time, so I do want to show you guys. These are really nice clippers.
Oh, thanks. Those are Falco. They're from Switzerland.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. And you guys carry them?
We're the only ones that carry them in Utah.
Okay, so where would I want to prune?
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go right to a fork in a limb, and you're going to cut up about a 1/4 inch
above the fork.
Above the fork.
So you don't want to prune below the fork?
No, you definitely don't want to.
Okay.
And you also want to leave maybe that most outward-facing bud, and that's just for appearance. That's going to look the best and have it grow the best.
These were sharp.
You love those?
No problem. All right, Sophie, I'm so sorry, but we are running out of time. Is there anything else you just want to lastly say?
Come on by the nursery. I'll tell you whatever issues or questions that you have.
All right, well guys, Park City Nursery is a place to go where if you want to winterize your landscaping, your lawn, your garden, shrubs, trees, plant your bulbs, everything you need is at Park City Nursery. Sophie, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
We still have a lot more guests on the show, including Turl. He's coming on at the very end. Don't miss out on him. We'll be back right after this.